Hey everybody, welcome to Mr. Sanders Teaches. My name is Chase Sanders, a National Board Certified Special Education teacher, and on this channel I make videos for both students and educators. So it is 2024, Happy New Year, and it looks like this outside. I don't know if you can see very well, but it is snowing here in Chicago. So I thought, hey, what the heck do I have else to do today? Might as well talk about unpacking standards. So let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I just noticed that the microphone on my new computer is not the best, but hey, you know what? We're committed. We are still going to talk about this, microphone or not. So we are going to talk about how to unpack a reading standard, and this is for people who are not lucky enough to have a curriculum established at their school. Maybe there are materials, but not any sort of sequence of standards or objectives. So this is for the folks who are in a position where they, have to break down standards themselves, which unfortunately is a lot of us educators. All right, so in this video, we are going to break down a reading standard into discrete skills. We're going to identify prerequisite skills. So what is it that students need to know before even approaching or addressing the standard? And then lastly, we're going to create a sequence of objectives designed to meet the standard. So a sort of a learning continuum based on a particular standard. So the standard that we're going to be focusing on is RL 6.2, and the language of that standard is determine a theme or central idea of a text and how it is conveyed through particular details. Provide a summary of the text distinct from personal opinions or judgments. So if you see a semicolon in a standard, that is usually indicating that this is a completely separate set of skills. So for example, provide a summary of the text. That is a related skill, but it is distinct from determining theme or central idea. So if we are going to teach the standard, we would have to teach the first part and then teach the second part. And in today's video, we are only going to focus on the language before the semicolon. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need to analyze the standard and kind of break down what are the component skills. What are the building block skills here? So I see determine a theme, determine a central idea, determine how it is conveyed through particular details for both the theme and the central idea. So even disregarding the second part of the standard, there are several component skills going on in the first part of the standard. So here are the component parts of this standard. Determine a theme of a text, determine a central idea of a text, identify details that support a theme, identify details that support a central idea, explain how theme is conveyed by details, and explain how a central idea of a text is conveyed by details. So there are at least 6 components of the first half of this standard. Now for this video and for this learning continuum that we're going to create, we are just going to focus on the components that deal with theme. Okay, so we're going to focus on determining a theme of a text. Apologies for the typo right here. Identify supporting details and explain how theme is conveyed by details. So before we create our learning continuum, we're going to have to think, well, what do students need to know in order to access these skills? So we're going to focus on determining a theme of a text because that seems to be the one that requires the most front loading. So if you don't know, a theme is the lesson or moral or message that the reader is supposed to understand from a text. And that is somewhat of a abstract inferential skill. Like there's usually not explicit details about what the theme is in any given text. So what you need to really help students grasp is that the theme is something we can learn from how a character responds to a challenge. Okay, so what difficulties does a character have? What do they learn or what should they learn? And what can we as readers learn? So that is how I've identified the prerequisite skill, explaining how a character responds to conflict, and that is part of RL 6.3. All right, so now we have our objectives for the first part of our unit on theme and central idea. So here's our objectives. Students will explain how a character responds to conflict. Students will determine a theme of a text. Students will determine a theme and identify supporting details. And students will explain how a theme is supported by details. So you might notice that the objectives kind of escalate in terms of rigor. So determining the theme of a text is lower level than explaining how details support a theme. Because not only are you going to have to say what the theme is, you're going to say, well, here's the theme and here's how, this part of the novel shows the theme. Here's how another part, and this is how I know these parts, convey the theme. So number 4 is the highest level of rigor in this learning continuum, which makes sense, right? You don't want to have students dive right into the most rigorous or cognitively demanding part of the standard. All right, everybody, thank you for watching today's video. I hope you learned something useful from it. I am going to just chill on the couch, keep warm, edit this video. Sounds like a great time. And hopefully I will see you in the next one. Take care.